All right, welcome everybody. I see the participant count is rising. We're gonna go ahead and get started because we have a lot of content to go through and we wanna be respectful of everybody's time. I would encourage you, if you're not a veteran of Zoom meetings yet, I'd be surprised, but you probably are, but if you're not, in the upper right-hand corner of your Zoom screen, there's an option to go into speaker view or gallery view. I would encourage you to click on speaker view. That way you can see the person who's speaking and they'll predominantly take over your screen. My job is really easy today. My name is Bret Schanzenbach. I'm the president and CEO of the Carlsbad Chamber of Commerce. And all I get to do is introduce our moderator today, and then I get to kind of sign off and be silent in the background until question and answer time. And then I get to bring the questions up. So today our moderator is going to be Rachel Beld. Rachel is the president and CEO of the Vista Chamber of Commerce, and she is going to take it over from here. Take it away, Rachel.
Thank you, Bret, and thank you all for joining us this evening. I'm excited to be here with all of you. We are thrilled to welcome several of our candidates for the healthcare district, for Tri-City Healthcare District. And tonight we're going to kick this off with some introductions, and then we'll follow up with several questions. If you have a question, if you're participating in tonight and watching live, please enter any questions into the chat, and we'll get to those at the end if we have time. We're going to give everyone this opportunity to answer the same question. We'll rotate who goes first. And with that, I'd like to kick off the candidate introductions, please. You'll have about 90 seconds for this. We'll watch Scott Ashton is our timer. I should introduce Scott. Scott Ashton's our timer from the Oceanside Chamber of Commerce. He's the president and CEO. And we'll hear from him a little later in the evening, as well as he'll be managing the time for us this evening. So with that, I'd like to start the introductions, and we'll start first with Dr. Chaya, and then Ms. Gleason. We'll go to Mr. Manzano, Ms. Sanchez, Mr. Burlew, and then to Ms. O'Harra. And I'll remind you of that order if you forget. So with that, I'd like to ask Dr. Chaya, please unmute yourself and give us your introduction. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. So my name is Nina Chaya, and I'm running for the Tri-City Healthcare District Board Division 7. I'm running to restore patient trust in our healthcare providers and to ensure the highest standard of care possible for the residents of North County, San Diego. As a frontline physician, I have a unique perspective on the inner workings of our healthcare system. And after serving in department and committee chair positions, I have a firsthand experience in identifying what works and what can be improved on across all department specialties throughout the hospital. My priorities include rebuilding trust with our patients, modernizing our facilities and equipment, and significantly increasing our community outreach to ensure the residents of North County are aware of all the life-saving services we provide at Tri-City Hospital. As a daughter of Lebanese immigrants who escaped violence and corruption with just the clothes on their back and a dream for a better life, I was privileged to obtain a public school education here in San Diego, where my fantastic teachers encouraged me to follow my passion to care for others. At the age of 17, I underwent complex spine surgery at Scripps La Jolla, where I was inspired by the tremendous care I received as a patient to pursue a career in medicine, and ultimately became the first physician in my family to do so. I've endeavored to repay our community here in San Diego for the opportunities through philanthropy, including volunteering for Project Access to provide much needed surgery to low income and uninsured residents, fundraising for numerous regional causes, and fostering and rescuing shelter pets to help our four-legged residents in the county. I can't think of a better way to repay this country for the opportunities that I have been given by seeking a position in public service, for which I am uniquely qualified, and one that will enable me to improve all aspects of healthcare for North County, as well as the perception around the community hospital. Thank you again for this opportunity. I'm grateful to be able to participate in a forum to share my vision with you guys. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Ms. Gleason, would you please introduce yourself?
Thank you. I'm Gigi Gleason, and I'm running for District 3 for the Healthcare District. There is a clear difference between me and my opponent. I am a proponent of local control of our local hospital so that we, the people of the Healthcare District, will continue making decisions about how we want healthcare and hospital care delivered to us. I do not want our hospital to be a subsidiary of any large system. I do not want to have financial, personnel, and medical decisions made by people not connected to this community. I do not want decisions about these things to be made only on the basis of bottom line profitability that will most assuredly take money out of our community. I was born and raised in Oceanside. I want the best for our community. I will work to keep control of our hospital in the hands of the citizens that it serves. And if you want to know something about me or my positions, please feel free to ask me or visit my website. My opponent is not an accurate source of information about me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Gleason. Mr. Manzano, please introduce yourself. Mr. Manzano, are you unmuted? There we go. We can hear you now. Yes, please.
All right. Well, I have an extensive career in hospital and healthcare management, operation, and financing. I was the Chief Deputy Director of the California Department of Health Resources. I was the Group Vice President of the American Hospital Association. I was the President of Pacific Health Resources, a hospital management company. I've been the head of an HMO and the head of an HPPO, and I wrote the book on PPOs that was published and is still in print and used. I have had a role in government cost control with the Department of the Treasury, where I was the Deputy Director for Operations of the Cost of Living Council Healthcare. And I have lived in Carlsbad for 30 years. I was the treasurer of the Carlsbad Barrio Festival. I love the Agua Hedionda Foundation. I'm on the Carlsbad Housing Commission, and I've been very active in community affairs as a volunteer. I think I have the resources that would really help this hospital solve what I see as its major problems. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manzano. Ms. Sanchez, please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Adela Sanchez, and I am a candidate for Tri-City Board Division 1. I was born at Tri-City Hospital myself. I grew up most of my life in Oceanside, and then I moved to Vista about 12 years ago, where my kids have been in Vista Unified School District. I've done all sorts of community service roles for the City of Vista and for Vista Unified School District, the PTA level, organizing team rooms, being team mom, fundraisers, clubs, and then my own union representative as a nurse. I got my nursing license about 10 years ago and a bachelor's of science in nursing and a public health nurse degree. I really have seen, working as a nurse, the problems that we have in healthcare, and I most recently was employed by Tri-City. I'm no longer employed, but working there, working on the front line and working side by side all of those frontline workers, I've seen the problems that I have, and I feel that some of them are totally fixable, things that we can work with our CEO and really manage as a board member. I'd be honored and privileged to work and represent Vista and all of North County as a board member there, so that we can put Tri-City back to the superior healthcare that it should be, and supporting all of our community healthcare team and community members, so that we're all one. Tri-City's reunited with the community and actually working best for the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sanchez. Mr. Burlew, please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon. I appreciate the opportunity. My name is Jim Burlew. I'm running for Tri-City Healthcare District Board of Directors #1. I'm a veteran of the United States Marine Corps. I hold a Master's of Business Administration and Healthcare Management, and I've also attended the law school at Purdue University and engineering management at Eastern Michigan University. I'm a board certified fellow of the American College of Healthcare Executives. I am a master code professional, certified fire marshal through the International Code Council, and hold about 60 other credentials. I'm also a licensed and certified California OSHPD hospital inspector and a certified healthcare facility manager. I've been a vice president of healthcare systems, very large, complex ones. The biggest one I had, I ran 24 hospitals and 6 systems with 350 clinics. So balancing budgets, insourcing employees, saving people's jobs, and increasing quality care is what I do. So I do have quite a few goals. One of my biggest goals out there is to open the behavioral health unit. Behavioral health unit was actually closed under false pretense a few years ago. The issue saying that it had to comply with OSHPA seismic requirements is not true. BHUs are actually exempt from that. And then the CMS requirements for ligature points, we could just take care of that through policy and utilizing sitters. So there's a lot of different things we can do, especially save the 16% reduction in force that's planned after this election to terminate 16% of the nurses and the other staff. Reducing nursing staff is not going to increase our healthcare. It's going to drop 10% of the business, and it's going to make things a lot worse. So I'm here to protect the community, protect the hospital. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Burlew. And last but not least, Ms. O'Harra, please introduce yourself.
Thank you. I'm Colleen O'Harra, and I'm a candidate for the Tri-City Healthcare Board representing District 1. For almost 60 years, the hospital has provided our community with service. My younger daughter was born there 53 years ago, and I have been present for the birth of 8 of my grandchildren. We have always received excellent care. I am an estate planning attorney and a trust administrator. I served on the Oceanside City Council for 8 years and was president of the Oceanside Chamber of Commerce. That's back when we called the chair of the board the president. I was a co-founder of the Women's Resource Center in Oceanside, which has provided services to over 250,000 families affected by domestic violence and sexual assault. I've also served on the boards of several other nonprofit organizations. For the past 4 years, it has been my pleasure to work on the Tri-City Hospital Foundation Board, raising funds to purchase state-of-the-art equipment. During this pandemic, we have supplied the hospital with protective equipment and purchased updated equipment for diagnosing respiratory crises. I love Tri-City Hospital, and I look forward to your questions. Thank you.
Great. Thank you all so much. I appreciate that. Okay,
Rachel, sorry.
Let's jump right into our...
Rachel, sorry to interrupt. One of our candidates was stuck in the attendee section, and so we just moved her up to a panelist. It's Leanne Grass. So if you would explain to her.
Oh, great.
Sorry for that.
Thank you. We want to hear from everyone, so I appreciate that. Hello, Ms. Grass. Hello. We were just finishing up our very first question, which is the candidate introduction. And I'm scrolling to find you on my screen here. Apologies.
Leanne, are you there? I mean, we see you, but are you personally there? She had just emailed me that she was stuck in the attendee section.
Okay.
Yes, sir, I am here.
Oh, great.
Great. Ms. Grass, are you prepared to give your introduction? We have 90 seconds for an introduction. Would you mind introducing yourself, please?
Thank you kindly. My name is Leanne Grass. I am a registered nurse and have been for over 27 years. I've lived, worked, and advocated for a strong healthcare system in Oceanside, Carlsbad, and Vista for the last 20 years. In addition to being a nurse, I've served on the Tri-City Healthcare District Board of Directors for the last 4 years, and as the board chair for the last 2 years. While on the board, I've been a strong advocate for the hospital, the health and safety of the community, and I'm currently helping work toward opening of a standalone mental health hospital to serve North San Diego County. Additionally, I'm the CEO of a hospice serving all of San Diego County. Please know there is an abundance of positive things happening at Tri-City Medical Center. However, we still have a lot of work to do. With my commitment and loyalty to the community, unwavering and constant community support, I am the right person for the role in District 5. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so now we will enter into our question and answer. So we will have 60 seconds for each of these answers, and we'll alternate who goes first. Everyone can have first chance being first, have a chance to be first. And the first question is, you covered this a little bit in your intro, but maybe you can expound on why are you running for the board and what are your priorities for this district? And we'll go first to Mr. Manzano. Make sure to unmute, please. You'll have 60 seconds.
He's still
Let's
muted,
see if we
Rachel.
can unmute you.
I'm trying.
Let's see if we can unmute you here on our end.
Alan, we need you to unmute yourself.
All right.
There we go. So please tell us, why are you running for the board and what are your priorities for the district, Mr. Manzano?
Thank you. I'm running for the board because I think that Tri-City Hospital is very important to deliver healthcare in this area. It is an area that has seen rapid growth and expansion, but you don't see it happening at Tri-City Hospital. You see Pomerado Hospital, you see the Navy Hospital, you see what's going on down in Encinitas, you have Kaiser building a new hospital. All of these hospital facilities are basically meeting the increasing need, but you don't see this hospital, you don't see this happening at Tri-City. Tri-City does need to replace its building. It is not seismically safe. The last disaster in Northern California was the Northridge, in Southern California was the Northridge earthquake. We have got to solve these problems, and I think I have experience that will help deal with them.
Thank you, Mr. Manzano. Next, let's go to Mr. Burlew. Please expand on why you're running for the board and your priorities for the district.
Thank you. Not too long ago, I went to the emergency department with appendicitis, and I was laying on the emergency department floor for 10 hours. I was never given any help. The care was subpar, and I saw so many other people like me around in the same condition. So I had to go to Scripps to get better service, and I got an appendicitis taken out within 15 minutes. So that's what we need here. I know that there's a lot of problems at Tri-City financially. I know they've been running a negative of $7.5 million average over the past 4 years of operational expenses. They're hurting pretty bad. They can't afford any equipment, any new technology. I know they want to build a new facility, but the central utility plan is still good until 2030, is still compliant. But there are the other areas like the central tower, which is not going to be compliant here by next year. So I have the experience and the knowledge to actually help the hospital turn around financially, as well as the personnel, and have the connections throughout North County to help partner with other organizations that can help bring the quality of healthcare up in North County. So that's what I'm going to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, let's hear from Ms. Gleason. Ms. Gleason, why are you running for the board and what are your priorities for the district?
Thank you. I'm running for the board because I have a deep connection to our community and to the hospital. My priorities are to maintain local control, to improve the patient experience, and to expand and update the plant to continue to offer quality health care to all of our residents and to continue to meet the gold standard for heart and stroke care that we've been awarded repeatedly by the American Heart Association. We have a great hospital and I want to keep it that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Glass, same question to you, please.
Unmute.
You need to unmute.
Thank you. Running for the board is a way that I can continue to give back to my community, ensuring my neighbors have a great hospital when needed, guarantee the hospital is around for many generations to come, as well as help protect the healthcare careers and jobs of my fellow healthcare professionals and service workers to keep our community and economy stable in North County. My priorities include deploying the medical office building, and in coordination with the San Diego County, build the mental health hospital for our community, Continue to have positive COVID outcomes for both our community members as well as our healthcare workers. Seek an appropriate healthcare affiliation to benefit the whole district. Continue to improve our leapfrog score of a B. Continue to have positive liquidity in our financials, and upgrade the hospital as needed to ensure compliance with the state of California seismic requirements, just to name a few.
Thank you. Let's hear from Ms. O'Harra, please.
As I mentioned, I love the hospital. My goals as a board member would be the following: fiscal stability, innovative medical services, opening the behavioral health unit, which is currently in the planning stage, and get that adjacent medical office building open. I want to improve the visibility of the hospital in the community and gain the community's confidence. We also need to plan for the very much needed upgrades to the hospital. Those are my priorities.
Thank you very much. Ms. Sanchez, same question to you.
Hi. I feel running for this board position has been a calling for me. I never would have thought that all of my years working as a nurse in healthcare, health and safety committees, policy and procedure committees, attending nurse actions, nurse rallies, speaking up at the Tri-City board meetings would lead me to have this, be able to be in this position today. I feel like all of our community members deserve the best care, and it's personal for me. I live here, I work the front line every day, and I see these community members. I've had life and death experiences with our community members, and we need more community outreach. We need the CEO to know his employees, who are his weakest and strongest links, and who is, and the CEO needs to be transparent. Where are his meetings updating the community and letting them know what's going on? We should know that there are plans to have a behavioral health unit and that the outpatient clinic is still working. But the community doesn't know those things. He's out of touch with them, and we need to fix that. We need to make sure that he knows what's going on with everyone. Thank you.
Rachel, did we lose you? Rachel, are you there? Rachel, you froze for a minute, so nobody heard what you said.
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Now we can. You were frozen for a minute and we lost you, but now we can hear you.
I'm so sorry. I apologize. I was just asking Dr. Chaya to please answer why she's running for the board and what her priorities would be for the district. I apologize for my technical difficulties.
So I'm running for the board because it's just a continuation of my commitment to serving the community and saving lives as a physician. The facility modernization is essential to make sure that our hospital can still provide the best standard of care for the patients. Our facility needs to be OSHPD compliant and also operational within state and local standards. Continuing to upgrade surgical equipment like I have done in the past is a huge priority, along with other equipment in the hospital that are vital to ensuring that patients are receiving the best care and that our electronic medical record platform is operating at the most efficient way possible. Community outreach is another big thing for us because there's a lot of things that the community does not know, they're aware of, that we provide at Tri-City. We're one of the top 3 hospitals in the nation for stroke treatment rates. Our hospital is one of the largest heart attack treatment centers in the county, where if you show up, the door to balloon time is less than 10 minutes when the country standard is 90 minutes. The community needs to understand that we have all of these services that we can provide that are life-saving, that they're going to want right there in the backyard of the community. And they don't have to go down south to get this kind of care. The other thing is safety. And through COVID, we've realized that safety is a big problem. A lot of people are afraid to come back to the hospitals. And we have implemented every
Thank you, Dr. Chaya.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's your time. We'll we'll have some chance to elaborate a little bit later as well. Thank you. On to our second question of the evening. Healthcare is facing unprecedented challenges due to COVID-19 pandemic. How has this impacted healthcare in general and Tri-City in particular? And we're going to start this question with Ms. O'Harra, followed by Ms. Sanchez.
Well, in general, we all have experienced the conditions that we have to live under now, being very careful. I know that the hospital, because they had to give up voluntary surgeries, lost a lot of income during that period of time, but it's my understanding that the hospital is staying current with all of their bills. They're weathering the storm. They've taken extraordinary care to make sure that all of the patients that come into Tri-City, whether they have COVID or not, are being kept safe and provided with excellent service.
Thank you. Ms. Sanchez, we'll have you go next, followed by Ms. Glass.
Hi, yes. So being a frontline worker, I've seen firsthand how the devastating effects can affect healthcare. We've seen a big push on how profit should not be valued over people. A lot of the medical staff are left short-handed because their hospitals are been faced with budget cuts and financial difficulties, and they're cutting at the wrong sources. So we can't cut nursing and medical supplies and staffing. We have to keep it safe, because the bottom line is that if you cut into safety, you cut into patient care. And it's actually one of the things that led me most to run for this position. I think that district hospitals are more important now than ever. We really need that community outreach, education, and communication, so that we can keep the community involved in what they can do for safety and how the hospital can best support them, and collaborate with the community clinics and doctors, so that we're all on the same level when it comes to safety.
Thank you very much. Ms. Grass, to you, please, followed by Mr. Burlew.
Right, thank you so much. Most hospitals across the country did suspend their non-urgent surgeries. This immediately cost Tri-City Medical Center $1.5 million a week in revenue. We did receive money through the CARES Act. However, that provided money was $7 million, and it really wasn't a drop in the bucket to the overall financial loss. On the upside, we still have a positive $50 million in our liquidity. So we are still not as bad off as many hospitals in this state. Both clinical and non-clinical hospital staff cut their hours, they flex, they work together, and the C-suite took pay cuts. The CEO took a 50% reduction in wages himself. All those things impacted their own families, and that's the way that it is impacting our community as well. COVID testing supplies were in short supply for a while, but we now have the rapid testing at Tri-City Medical Center, and that's been very helpful. We also created a separate entrance to the hospital for suspected or confirmed COVID patients. So overall, the impact has been excellent.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Grass. I appreciate your answer. Next, Mr. Burlew, followed by Dr. Chaya.
Thank you. Yeah, COVID-19 has impacted our healthcare workers on the front lines quite a bit. This organization, Tri-City Healthcare, has kind of turned a blind eye to many of the complaints that the healthcare workers have had to get proper PPE, so that way they're not having people exasperate on them and spit and things like that. There's also been a lot of nurses that have come ill, and next thing you know, they have to still go to the hospital because their COVID test isn't proven to be positive or negative at the time. The same thing with patients. So the policies and procedures in place right now are not in place to actually protect the frontline workers. So if a patient comes in to the hospital, they are not assumed to have COVID right away. They got to get a test, and then after the test comes in, then they will be deemed COVID or not. Well, during that time, the nurse and the rest of the frontline workers are exposed to the COVID if that person had it. So the policies really need to be changed, and the nurses have stated several times, but so far there's not been any changes in their practice. So we need to start listening to the nurses that are actually doing the work and giving the care versus the administration.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Chaya, same question to you.
Yeah, so as a frontline physician during COVID, we witnessed a lot of the essential hospital services shut down to the community, including our elective surgeries. If this pandemic has taught us anything, is that we need more healthcare experts in the oversight, helping plan policies and positions that influence our executives to make sure that we're making the right decisions for the community and the caregivers. Patients currently are fearful of coming into the hospital, and we're seeing examples of this time and time again because of our ER patients are a lot more sicker than they normally would be. We need to reach out to the community and make sure they understand that we put in all these safety measures in process to make sure that they are safe when they come in, including rapid testing, isolation of patients that have COVID, and adequate PPE for all of the staff that is working currently at the hospital. Our community deserves to have a place that they can trust and rely on. They need to be informed of the fact that we have been doing this for them. The hospital employs about 2,000 people that live in the district. And all these people rely on the hospital not only for care, but also as for work and livelihood. And we need to ensure that these kind of events, when they come in the future, when we're presented with our pandemic, that we have safeguards in place to make sure that these kind of shutdowns don't happen again.
Thank you very much. Ms. Gleason, same question to you, and then followed by Mr. Manzano.
Well, a lot of it has already been covered. Clearly, COVID has turned all of our lives upside down. And although I was not on the inside seeing how the hospital was impacted from that view, I could see on the outside that, as others have said, elective surgeries were canceled, which was a huge cut in income, as well as the ER traffic slowed down because the community was afraid. And as Dr. Chaya said, people waited longer to seek care because of the fear. And it's taken all of us time to adjust to all of this. There were temporary furloughs. The executive team reduced their salaries. It's been a huge challenge for all hospitals, not just Tri-City, but Tri-City is certainly rising to the top and doing what they can to treat everyone and continue quality health care.
Thank you very much. Mr. Manzano, please unmute and let us know the answer to your question.
Okay. Well, we have to look within what is within the scope of the board. And what the board has got to concentrate on is make sure the hospital survives the financial crisis that this pandemic is causing. The other thing is to protect and ensure the viability of its staff long-term. We are responding to what's happening, and we don't know exactly what is happening. We don't have really very good statistics. We don't really have a uniform approach nationally to how we're addressing this issue. But the hospital is a focal point for crisis when it happens. And that ability to do that is the main purpose of the board, to help the hospital do it successfully.
Thank you very much. For our third question, here we go. In years past, the Tri-City Healthcare District Board of Directors has suffered through a period of a political upheaval. However, recently, the board has experienced a much more congenial environment. Please describe your experience collaborating with Tri-City in the past. And first on this question will be Ms. Gleason, followed by Ms. Grass.
Thank you. I have served on district committees for over 10 years, along with the foundation board for 5 years. And this has afforded me plenty of opportunities for collaboration. In past years, yes, under different administrators and different boards, working together was at best challenging. But in recent years, I'm grateful to say that the current administration and the leadership team have been transparent, respectful, and collaborative. I've chaired the grant committee for 5 years with the district, and we have worked together to honor community organizations and help them move forward to provide better services for our community. And it's been a wonderful relationship between the nonprofit community and the hospital. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Grass, to you. And then next we'll go to Ms. O'Harra. I think you're still muted, Ms. Grass. I can repeat the question if you need it.
There. Can you hear me now?
You got it. Great job.
Like that commercial. Can you hear me now? All right. Yes, you are correct. There was a time the entire board could not even be in the same room together. That was a time period before I served on the board. However, I can honestly say in the last 2 years, they've been incredibly harmonious. The board has collaborated, worked through any and all differences of opinion as professionals, and collectively made decisions to benefit the district as a whole. The bar has been set, and it is my hope this type of board partnership will continue for many years to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Ms. O'Harra, you're next, followed by Ms. Sanchez.
In the almost 5 years that I've served on the foundation board, it's just been wonderful to work with people from all walks of life, to get acquainted with the doctors, to work with the administration of the hospital and meet the board members. It feels to me like everybody is moving in the same direction, and I find that exciting and reassuring. In the years that I served on the Oceanside City Council, I obtained the nickname of being the voice of reason. So I would look forward to being the voice of reason on the Tri-City Hospital Board. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Sanchez, you're next, followed by Dr. Chaya.
Hi. Well, first off, I want to tell everyone that I'm the oldest of 5 children. So collaborating and leading has been something that I was born to do, not by my choice, but by my parents' choice. And it's something that I love being a part of, a huge family with lots of brothers and sisters to always be around with and help take care of. The second thing I would say is that nurses are masters of communication. We are taught to be open communicators, closed-looped. In that communication, we set achievable goals and reasonable and positive outcomes. Also, as a charge nurse, you also learn to make a disciplinary team actions so that you meet with each members of the team and speak how you can best serve your patient, and in this case, how I could best serve the community. I've been in many roles where I've brought up nurses' issues at meetings and with managers and teams. And
thank you very much. Thank you, Ms.
Sanchez. More positive.
Thank you.
For the safety of our patients. And I would be more than happy to continue doing this as a board member.
Okay, moving on now to Dr. Chaya, followed by Mr. Manzano.
So while I served as department chair in the anesthesiology department at Tri-City, I had the unique opportunity to interact with the board of directors individually and collectively. One of our big department quality improvement projects we wanted to push forward for patients was implementing a special enhanced recovery power specifically for robotic surgery. The patients experienced significant decrease in pain, reduction of length of stay from 7 to 2 days, and their satisfaction dramatically increased. The board was tremendously supportive in us moving this protocol forward, and we're the only hospital in the county that provides this specific recovery pathway. And it's took collaboration from multiple board members, administrators, physicians, nurses, techs, all coming together and creating a great protocol for patients that have clearly improved their patient satisfaction scores. And the board was always unanimous in its support of us doing this. And that's been my experience with the current board.
Thank you very much. Mr. Manzano, and then followed by Mr. Burlew.
In my working career, I've always worked with groups. It's essential that you use the information and the strength and energy that all participants bring to the decision. And a collaborative environment, I think, is the best. And I would use those skills in working on the board. Thank you.
Mr. Burlew.
Thank you. I've worked on many boards, many committees, many departments, been a part of the team to get positive results. And I can do that here again. One of the big misconceptions is there's cohesiveness on this board. There's actually just a majority of 4 that gets their way. An example of this is one of the board members brought forth SMART goals, which are specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and timely. And they put these in front of the rest of the board members to try to keep the CEO accountable to the community and to the board. This set of SMART goals was actually shot down, and it was dumbed down to just about 4 little things of saying, can you meet a financial budget? So everything is really revolving around money with this board, and they silence everybody else. So with me on the board, everybody will have a voice. I don't care if you oppose what I think or whatever, you represent your community, you will be able to speak up, and you will not be silenced by the committee chair, by the board chair. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Moving on to our next question. Tri-City and the County of San Diego reached a collaborative arrangement in early 2020 to build a new inpatient psychiatric health facility on the hospital's Oceanside campus. Please share your views on the agreement and on the current direction of behavioral health at Tri-City. 60 seconds for this question. And first up is Mr. Burlew, followed by Mr. Manzano.
Okay, first off, nobody in the public knows exactly what the plan is other than they're going to try to build something in about 1.5 to 2 years. So healthcare at Tri-City for mental health is about 3 to 4 years out. The behavioral health was actually closed on a bunch of lies. They said they had to close it because it did not meet OSHPD seismic requirements. That was a lie. And the second thing, because it's exempt by OSHPD seismic requirements. Second thing was that it did not meet anti-ligature requirements for CMS. That's a lie. When CMS and CDPH come in, they will ask you, how are you going to protect the patient? And if you say we have them in an anti-ligature free area, great. If you have them and it's only the high-risk patients in a ligature zone, then you can say I have sitters for these few high-risk patients. And Tri-City didn't do that. Instead, they said, we just don't have anything. We can't protect the patient. We're just going to shut it down. And they use that to try to leverage the county to give them more money to do what they're trying to do today. They can open up the behavioral health right now, and that's what I plan on doing, is opening this behavioral health up and then utilizing the money with the county to open up even more beds, because there's over 100 empty beds in that hospital that could be utilized for something else.
Thank you, Mr. Burlew. Mr. Manzano, same question to you, followed by Ms. Sanchez.
My view is that you have to really look at the way you operate a hospital cooperatively, not just only within the hospital, but within the general health delivery system that's around you. We have comprehensive health planning that decides what should be delivered and what shouldn't be delivered. And you can't be picking what you want to deliver simply because you think it's the most prosperous, it will get you the most money. You've got to be looking at it more broadly. You can't be competing in areas where competition really is wasting resources. You've got to really focus as to what is the specific mission of a general hospital. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, next, Ms. Sanchez, followed by Dr. Chaya.
The closing of behavioral health was really sad for Tri-City. It's such a high need in our community, and it was really unfortunate that they couldn't make it work. What this really brought to light is how Tri-City has really lost touch with their community, ability to communicate with our community. There's no transparency transparency there. We should all be very clear about what happened and very clear about their plans. Everybody knows very little about the new plans to open up the new center. We don't know exactly when it'll be completed, and that's unfortunate for our community. And that's where I'd really be pushing our CEO to open up and be transparent about what's going on. We have so much social media. There should be no excuse why we don't all know what's going on. So I would really push him to go forward on that plan quickly and open regularly with the whole community. We need
Thank
to
you
all
very
be
much.
aware
Thank you, Ms. Sanchez. That's your time. Thank you. Next is Dr. Chaya, followed by Ms. Gleason.
I'm in support of the collaborative agreement reached. Sorry, I got muted. So I'm in support of the collaborative agreement reached by the Tri-City Board, the County Board of Supervisors, to build the 16-bed inpatient, adult inpatient hospital facility on the Oceanside campus. The agreement received unanimous support from both boards, and it allows us to operate safely within the CMS compliance for the patients in the community. I believe healthcare as a whole industry has kind of been anemic in its response to mental health disorders. And I think we have a really unique opportunity for our community to be able to provide this in a very safe manner to the highest care. Because if we end up opening a behavioral health unit that ends up endangering patients, we're going to do way more harm than good. So I think everybody needs to take a step back and make sure that we're looking at the situation with all the facts in front of us.
Thank you, Dr. Chaya. Ms. Gleason, and then followed by Ms. O'Harra.
Thank you. I absolutely agree and am in support of the hospital and county plans to open the behavioral health unit, hopefully in January of 2021. Mr. Dietlein spoke about that recently at the board meeting that I sat in on. The construction will be funded by the county. It was not closed and under false pretenses. There were ligature issues that had to be dealt with. And if the hospital had ignored that, they ran the risk of losing the license for the entire medical center, and they could not risk that for the community. So they did what they had to do. They're moving forward with the county. They reached an agreement with the county. The county is funding the construction, and we look forward to it beginning in January of 2021. Would have started earlier had it not been for COVID. So again, it's thrown everything upside down, but in total support of moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Now to Ms. O'Harra, followed by Ms. Grass.
You know, it broke my heart when the behavioral health unit had to be closed. I looked into it. I understood why they needed to do that because they would jeopardize the whole hospital. I'm very excited about the new plan that's being developed in collaboration with the county. Looking at the big picture, when Tri-City closed their unit, it was a wake-up call to the entire county, who realized that as a county, we were not providing enough services for mental health patients. I think that's why the county is now working with us to build this facility. So I'm 100% in favor of it.
Thank you. And wrapping up this question, Ms. Grass.
Thank you. Tri-City Medical Center did have to suspend, not close, but suspend the beds of the behavioral health unit due to ligature risk deemed by the new federal and state guidelines. If we had defied the state and federal guidelines by keeping it open, we would have placed the entire hospital and every service within that hospital at risk, not to mention placing suicidal patients at risk. It was a very difficult decision. The reason that ours is different, and I know there's been several people that have had different opinions, was because that our unit was actually attached to our hospital and it did fall under the same guidelines as the hospital. So it was not exempt. Thankfully, in January, the board, along with the executive team, negotiated an agreement with the county through which a brand new 16-bed inpatient psychiatric healthcare facility is going to be built on the medical center's campus in the Northwest campus area. The county will help fund that. And once completed, which should be by mid 2022, we can coordinate those inpatient services along with our outpatient services and partner with the crisis stabilization units, which are in Vista and Oceanside.
Thank you, Ms. Grass. Thank you so much. We're moving on now to our fifth question. Working as part of the Board of Trustees frequently requires having to work with people with different backgrounds and viewpoints. Please share an example of how you have successfully worked with people with divergent opinions from your own to make positive changes happen. And we're going to ask Ms. Sanchez to lead us off with this question, followed by Dr. Chaya.
Hi. Leading with empathy and recognizing different cultures and diversity is the most important way that you can be a successful leader. It's something that I practice in my everyday life as a nurse, as a parent volunteer in the community, and as a good person. It's something that we always need to be aware of. We need to be inclusive of all ideas, and you need to be always open-minded. There's always going to be ideas that are different from you, but you can't grow or be stronger until you listen to them and learn from them. And then when you have effective communication with each other, you can grow from each other. It's really important that we just remember that you're not always right. You have to be open to other ideas, and that's how you become stronger and the best leader.
Thank you very much. Dr. Chaya, same question to you, and we'll follow with Ms. O'Harra.
So as a physician leader and patient advocate at the hospital, I've had the opportunity to collaborate with a lot of different people with different backgrounds, whether they're physicians with very strong opinions to nurses who have the best patient's interest at heart to staff members that are looking for safety and security. It is important to listen to everyone's opinion, understand where they're coming from. So a lot of times you have to put yourself in their shoes to understand their opinion, even though it might be dramatically different than your own. And it's important that all of these opinions come together and form a better solution, because that's how we improve things, collaborating from all sorts of backgrounds and stories. And I feel that as a physician and a healthcare advocate, it's really important to do that, because you can't provide the best patient care if you don't listen to every single person that's involved in the patient care team model.
Thank you very much. Okay, Ms. O'Harra, you're next, followed by Mr. Burlew.
So for the last 50 years, I've been involved with a number of different nonprofit organizations in Oceanside that all provide services to diverse groups of people. I think a prime example of that is the Women's Resource Center, because we have received clients from all walks of life, very diverse backgrounds. We've made sure that we had a staff that could relate to those people. And we have a lot of success stories for the women who have come through the Women's Resource Center. I'm very proud of that.
Thank you very much. Next, Mr. Burlew, followed by Ms. Grass.
Thank you. I've been fortunate enough to serve in the United States Marine Corps and worked with people of every race, creed, and color and ethnicity. I've also been responsible for 24 hospitals at one time and 350 clinics, and met people from every walk of life and every level of life, from the CEOs to the organizations down to the janitors. It didn't matter to me. I respected everybody at every single level. I wanted to hear what they had to say. My opinion was just an opinion, and to make my opinion better, I had to seek out the information and the experience and knowledge of other people. And I've learned from everybody, and I will continue to learn. I will always keep an open mind, and I want to hear from people. And anybody that wants to call me and email me right now, please do. I want to hear what you want to do with the hospital. I am here to represent you. I am your voice. I am going to be your advocate. I am here as your representative. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Grass, and then we'll have Ms. Gleason follow.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Leanne, I'm sorry, you got muted. We can't hear you.
Now,
Yes.
thank you. I appreciate that. It's important to listen to all sides of any issue, giving credit to each other's opinions. I believe in professionalism, honesty, and mutual respect. The camaraderie, peace, and regard that each board member has for each other on the board currently is definitely a positive for every member in the district. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Bret, for your help on that one. I also froze there for a moment, so I couldn't hear what was going on. Sorry about that. Thank you, Ms. Grass. Next, we'll hear from Ms. Gleason and then followed by Mr. Manzano.
Thank you. Having served on many nonprofit boards in the community, like the Boys and Girls Clubs of Oceanside, Women's Resource Center, New Haven Youth and Family Services, you're always with people with a variety of opinions coming from different backgrounds, different priorities. It's important to always listen, to encourage everyone to share, to tell their truth, to listen for the common ground, to collaborate, and then to move forward. And I believe if we all really listen to one another, we can find that common ground and always find a direction to go forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Manzano, you're up.
You're muted, Mr. Manzano.
There we go. Okay. I come from a mixed background myself, and I grew up in communities that were soup to nuts, and I didn't even know that we're supposed to distinguish between each other. We weren't brought up like that. We just said, that's Joe. We didn't think anything about race, religion, nothing. We were just the common community. But when I realized in this country, it isn't like that, that there's a hierarchical system in place that's still there. And when people protest, there's reason for it. So my answer is you can't just be tolerant. You've got to be positive in terms of the kinds of programs you lead and how you approach people to bring everybody in till eventually we don't even see the difference.
Thank you very much. So next, we'll move over to any questions that we've received in the chat. And while Bret is gathering that information, I do want to just mention that the Vista, Carlsbad, and Oceanside Chambers are so thrilled and honored to host this forum this evening. Thank you all for joining us. You know, these three chambers worked together to help form the Tri-City Healthcare District in the 1960s. So we've been longtime partners with Tri-City, and we're proud to be here tonight. With that, let's hear from Bret. Bret, did we receive any questions in the chat?
Thank you, Rachel. We don't have any in the chat, but I do have two questions that were submitted from the community via email leading up to the event today. So I will go ahead and, if you want to tell them who's going to answer first, I'll ask
Sure.
the question, and then I'll put myself back on mute.
Great.
So first question, and again, I want to emphasize these are questions that came in from the community. The first question is, ethical questions regarding campaign tactics and claims have arisen in this election. Some of them via websites and others via emails that are being sent. The question is, for you as a candidate, please stress your view of campaign and election integrity and specific to your campaign in this election.
Okay. Yes. First up, we're gonna hear from Ms. Grass, and followed next by Mr. Burlew.
You're muted, Leanne.
Thank you, Scott. I can't see everyone.
It says unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're good.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Personally, I feel that.
Sorry, Leanne, sorry, I accidentally clicked the wrong button. Sorry, Leanne. Start again. Unmute yourself and then start again. That was me.
That's okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Personally, I feel like there should not be any name calling, any condescension that we have seen. And I believe if someone state something on a website, put something in writing, that it should be the honest truth. There should be facts behind it and not mistruths and purposefully misleading other people, that it should be the truth and nothing but the truth.
Thank you very much. Next is Mr. Burlew, followed by Ms. Gleason.
Thank you. I think that it's of the utmost importance to make sure that we are all honest and the integrity is there. Anytime anybody says anything, there needs to be facts that are put out there. There needs to be a reference that's put out there. In this election, we've heard many of people make statements that ignore this, that's not the truth, when it really is the truth. One example is the behavioral health unit. If you go to the OSHPD website, it specifically lists the behavioral health unit as exempt. So when somebody says it is part of the hospital and it's different, that's not true. All this information is readily available. So please back up what you say with facts, because most of us will do that. And I think that's a very important thing for the public to know the truth, not just to hear hearsay and what somebody else's interpretation of truth is. There are hard facts out there that we can actually look at. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Gleason, we'll hear from you next, and then followed by Mr. Manzano.
Thank you. I have been the victim, I hate that word, of some of the untruths that have been going on out there. I find there is absolutely no place for that in politics. It's important to be honest and upfront, and that's what I have done on my website. And there are others that seem unable to campaign without throwing darts at some of the rest of us, and that is just not acceptable in any way, shape, or form. If you don't know someone, you have absolutely no right to make assumptions or accusations about them. And even if you do know them, this is not the place or the climate to do it. It's important to speak your truth, do what you need to do moving forward, and not be mean or judgmental or unkind about any of the other candidates. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Manzano, we'll hear from you next, and then Ms. O'Harra. Make sure you unmute, please. Mr. Manzano?
Okay, there we go.
There you go.
I think in an ideal world, elections would be very, very much based upon the experience and quality of the candidates. And I think that would be wonderful. I just don't know any elections that really are like that. But in our district elections, I think it's very important that we just present ourselves for what we are, honestly and fully. And that's all I've done.
Thank you very much. Okay, next, Ms. O'Harra, and then we'll hear from Ms. Sanchez.
I've been involved in political campaigns before, and I've always run a very clean, ethical campaign. I focus on my qualifications and never say anything negative about my competitors. There is a document circulating now that purports to come from me, where I am questioning the qualifications of Ms. Sanchez. I did not create that document. I have sent Ms. Sanchez an email explaining that to her. I have referred the matter to the Registrar of Voters because it includes a letter from him. And I have posted a complaint with the Fair Political Practices Commission. That is not the way I run a campaign. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Sanchez, you're next, and then Dr. Chaya, you'll finish off this question for us.
Hi, I wanted to say that it's unfortunate that as voters you have to deal with this. I'm sorry that you had to look at other people's smear campaigns. I'm sorry that some candidates out there think that doing a smear campaign is the way to win. I don't think that. All I can tell you is about myself. All I can tell you is why I want to run and why I can do things to try to with all of my past experience. I can tell you that there's things that you could look for, like to see if it's paid by and it should have a candidate or a campaign name on there. But really, you have all of our emails, you have our website. Contact us. I'm more than happy to speak to anyone and clarify anything. And again, I just apologize that that had to become an issue for anyone. I'm focusing on all of the facts and focusing on what I can do for Tri-City. And in the words of the late communicator, we have no time for anger, regret, or resent. All we are here to do is the job. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we had a bit of an audio issue. Did anyone else have an audio issue?
Yes.
Scott, should we have Ms. Sanchez maybe say that answer again? I couldn't understand even one word of it.
Why don't we go to the next? Do you have one more candidate, I think?
Yes, Dr. Chaya is next, and then we'll come back to Ms. Sanchez. There was a lot of, you sounded a little robotic almost and mumbled. So we'll try that again, but let's go to Dr. Chaya next. Thank you. Or if there's an issue, then you could also type in your, we could also have a type in, but we'll try again with the audio in just a moment. Dr. Chaya, you're next. Thank you so much for your patience.
So it's really important that we stick to ethical and honest campaigns because our voters deserve to have the correct information in front of them in order to make the best decision for the country, the community at every single level that we're talking about. I personally am not here. I want to just talk about issues and how we can improve patient care and not engage in personal attacks that are completely irrelevant to the community and what we can do for the patients. I personally have been one of those people that's been attacked. And I've had attorneys look at these claims and found them to all completely be not based on fact or law. I mean, this is all just a distraction from the important issues, the real issues that are affecting Tri-City healthcare in the district. Like, if you lack the confidence in your own qualifications and don't feel that they're adequate, then you shouldn't be running for the board. It's really a shame when people try to rely on impugning others to win instead of their own qualifications.
Thank you very much. Okay, Ms. Sanchez, let's go back to you and let's try that audio one more time.
How's this? How does it sound?
No. You know what? It's very bad. I'm wondering if it's... I'm going to have you mute again if you don't mind. Okay, quite a bit of delay and feedback there. Perhaps it
Rachel,
might be, yes.
She's getting a low bandwidth signal that's coming through. So
Okay.
Sanchez, if you could type in your response to the ethical question into the chat, and then everybody who's there could see it. But in the interest of time, we should probably kind of move on. We have
Okay,
one
thank you.
question from the community. Some of the candidates have touched on this a little bit in different questions, but the question was, this is a 4-year position that you are seeking out for the Board of Trustees. So in the last 4 years, could you give specific examples of how you've been involved in Tri-City specifically? So whether that means participating as a community member in the board meetings or foundation events, committees, etc. And for those candidates who currently are employed at the hospital, how will you transition from being staff to now being on the board that helps oversee the entire hospital?
Thank you, Bret. We're going to go to Dr. Chaya first for this one, and then we'll go next to Ms. Sanchez. We'll see how your audio is. If it's not great, we'll ask you to type your answer in the chat, please. Go ahead, Dr. Chaya. Thank you.
So I've been a physician at the hospital since 2013, and I am not employed by the hospitals. Make sure that everybody understands that. During my time at Tri-City, I've served as chairperson of the anesthesiology department, blood utilization committee, quality review committee. I've dedicated a lot of my administrative roles to patient care and utilizing my role is to advocate for patient safety and wellness. I've dedicated significant time to helping educate nurses and other staff members by running emergency drills with them and educating them on the safe delivery of anesthesia for patients pre and post care. I've also helped fundraise for the hospital alongside the foundation, whether it's volunteering for events that like Fashion That Heals and walking in the fashion show, and making sure that physicians and other community members are helping sponsor for the Diamond Ball and community supporters. This is super important that people who are involved in the hospital have had inside views on the hospital and involved in all aspects of it to be on the board. And I think that makes me uniquely qualified for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Ms. Sanchez, let's give your audio a try. Were you able to hear the question?
Yes, I can hear the question. How to down? Better?
Great.
Okay, good.
Yes.
So I think transitioning from a staff member to a board member will be quite easy for me because I have had that recent experience in the hospital. I see the inner workings, I see what's going on, and I have personal insight and ideas of how to make it better. It's something that I've been trying to do working there the last few years. I feel it's important to be involved in committees, attend the regular board meetings, and be involved in different aspects of the working systems in the hospital. So I actually felt like when this position first opened and it was open in my home, that it was something that was meant to be. I could go into a position where I had experience and I could go and make those decisions with the smart experience of the past. So now I'll be able to be at that top, and the CEO will have to listen to me. He can't ignore my emails or ignore my ideas anymore.
Thank you very much. Next is Ms. Grass, followed by Ms. Gleason.
Can you hear me? Okay, perfect. Thank you. I have been on the board since November of 2016, and I have been the chair of the board the last 2 years. I have sat on every subcommittee in the hospital, as well as multiple ad hoc committees. So I've dedicated a lot of time, a lot of energy to the hospital over the last 4 years. It's been my pleasure to give the hospital another 4 years of my loyal service.
Thank you very much. Okay, Ms. Gleason, and then we'll hear from Mr. Manzano.
Thank you. I have been a very grateful patient. I have been a donor. I have supported the hospital foundation. I have been a member of the foundation and chaired the gala. I have served on a district committee, the Community Healthcare Alliance Committee. I have chaired the grant committee under that committee for 5 years. I have attended many, many years of district board meetings, and I feel that I have a very good understanding and knowledge of the hospital from all the ins and outs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, next let's hear from Mr. Manzano and then followed by Mr. Burlew.
I'm mute, don't I?
You got it.
Mr. Manzano, you muted yourself. You were unmuted, but now we can't hear you.
Double whammy.
My interaction with the hospital has been limited. I've had occasion to use its emergency room and bring people in my family to it, and I've always appreciated the help they've given. I do follow the hospital because I'm really interested in the hospital and its interaction. When it ran that the bond issue, I would speak to friends about, like, we should support this. And I really do think that an outsider, someone who is not that involved with the hospital, can bring a fresh perspective into it. And that's what I expect to bring.
Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Burlew, you're next, followed by Ms. O'Harra.
Okay, thank you. I've addressed the board in years past and tried to bring up issues like with the behavioral health unit. Kind of fell on deaf ears. I am a lifetime ambassador donor of the hospital as well. I've donated quite a bit of money to the hospital to try to help it out over the years too. I'm not going to be the one that's going to tell you everything's puppy dogs and butterflies. I'm going to give you the truth. I'm going to let you know that the financial statements that are posted to the website, for example, when you compare that to the California Health and Human Services website, there is missing $4.5 million from the financial statements. And there's just so many issues financially with that organization. The CEO is not doing a great job at all. We've lost from 60,000 patients a year 3 years ago to 40,000 patients a year going through the emergency department. The attendance at the hospital is declining. It used to be 200 people a day. Now it's 140, and it's just dropping. We need a change. I will bring change. I will bring positive change for our hospital, for our community, so it does not continue down this road to bankruptcy and end up closing its doors. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Lastly, let's hear from Ms. O'Harra, please.
Well, for almost 5 years now, I have been working on the Tri-City Hospital Foundation Board. For 2 of those years, I chaired the development committee, which raises the money. The other 2+ years, I've been a member of the committee. I also served on the Diamond Ball committee and helped round up sponsors for that event. I did that for 3 years. I'm a regular attender of the Hospital Foundation Board. So I feel like I have a lot of knowledge about the hospital.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for your time. And at this point, I'd like to introduce Scott Ashton from the Oceanside Chamber.
Rachel.
Yes.
Closing statements.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I got ahead of myself. Thank you for interrupting. I'm sorry?
90 seconds each.
All right, let's do it. Closing statements from everyone. Thank you very much. Let's see here. Let's please hear from Ms. O'Harra. You'll kick us off, please, with your closing statement.
Well, thank you. This has been an interesting opportunity, and I think the voters out there have some decisions to make, and you have different choices that you're going to have to make. I love the hospital. I would be a voice of reason on the board. The other qualities that I have that I think would make me a good board member is that I am a good listener. I'm a fair person. I do my homework. I believe in balanced budgets. My strength is in problem solving. And I think we need more of that on the board. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Grass? You're next, and then we'll hear from Dr. Chaya next. Thank you.
Since being elected to the Board of Directors in November 2016, we finally received the needed judgment to open the longstanding unoccupied medical office building on the southwest area of our campus. $8 million was returned to the district. At this point, we're just waiting on the builder to follow through with the appellate judge's ruling so that we can deploy the building. Also, since November 2016, we've dramatically reduced the number of lawsuits the district was involved in. By that I mean in 2016, the year I was elected, that November, the district spent $4.6 million in legal fees, but in 2019, the year that I was chair, they only spent $93,000. That's a difference of $4.5 million. We've recruited some amazing world-class physicians, such as Dr. Wu, cardiothoracic surgeon, pulmonologist, Dr. Visroy. So there are a lot of wonderful things that are happening. This year I also traveled to Sacramento to meet with our senators and congressmen to advocate for our hospital and garner support for the mental health hospital to be built on the Tri-City campus in coordination with San Diego County. In my humble opinion, my impact volunteering on the board of directors of Tri-City Healthcare District has been very positive.
Thank you very much. Dr. Chaya, you're next. and then we'll hear from Mr. Burlew.
Thank you, Rachel, and a big thank you to the Carlsbad Chamber of Commerce for providing us a forum for local candidates to present our vision to the region and hopefully listen to the insights from our community leaders. Like I said before, I'm dedicated to rebuilding trust between the hospital and its patients and doing everything possible to improve the patient care that we provide our communities who deserve it. Again, my priorities include rebuilding trust, modernizing our facility and equipment, and significantly increasing our community outreach to ensure everyone's aware of the services we provide. I have a lot of support from people in the community and the hospital, including the Nurses Union and the STIU United Healthcare Union, along with the San Diego County Medical Society and our incumbent, Julie Nygaard. I'm determined to make sure that we move forward in the best way possible and provide the best care for our patients possible. If you want to hear more about what I have to offer, please visit my website at ninachayaMD.com. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. Mr. Burlew, you're up, followed by Ms. Gleason.
Thank you. It's no secret that the hospital is struggling financially very, very badly. Currently, they have $247 million in liabilities, and part of that liability is an additional $80 million line of credit that used to be a $22 million line of credit that they've been drawing on just to try to survive. For the past 8 years, the hospital has been working in a negative. For the past 4 years, they've been having a $7.5 million on average operational loss. And that's got to turn around, but they can't do it on their own because they don't have the right people. I am one of the right people. I've actually turned organizations around, saved tens of millions of dollars, and I have a plan to do so. We need to hold the CEO accountable. Like I mentioned, the daily census and the emergency department, everybody's leaving. They're going to Scripps Encinitas, they're going to Palomar. It's a fact. Tri-City used to be the second busiest emergency department in the county. Now it's about the 10th or 12th. It's declining quickly. And if we don't do something soon, then the organization is going to be shut down. We need to open the behavioral health unit. We need to hire a forensic accountant to find out where the $4.5 million of missing cash is, as well as to find out where all the money from the HUD loan went, the $85 million there. And currently we have a master plan that's put out there that is going to cost $700 million. I've done 5 of these things, and the community cannot afford a tax increase like that from a plan that is the wrong plan for our community. We had a good one in 2012, and we need to implement the good one that's fit for our community. Thank you very much, and I will represent you proudly.
Thank you very much. Okay, next, let's hear from Ms. Gleason and then Ms. Sanchez.
I just want to thank you. I just want to remind the public that the job of a board member is oversight, not to run the hospital. There are people in those positions and they should not be micromanaged by the board or have members come in with a predetermined agenda. This is your decision about your hospital and your healthcare. Do you want the decisions about how healthcare resources are used made here or elsewhere? That is one of the main things you're deciding in this election based on things stated by some of our opponents. Tri-City Healthcare District is an independent healthcare district for a reason. The district and the hospital exist to serve all of our needs and all of our priorities, which may differ in important ways from the needs and priorities of other areas. We are 100% of the decision-making voice of Tri-City Medical Center, and it should remain that way. I am coming into this position with absolutely no agenda. I am committed to helping to continue the good work and supporting the vision of the medical community and the needs of the people served by Tri-City Medical Center. A vote for Gigi Gleason is a vote for someone you can trust to always care deeply about the hospital and the community that it serves. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Gleason. Next, we'll hear from Ms. Sanchez, and then rounding it out will be Mr. Manzano.
Hi, I'd really like to see Tri-City reconnect with the community. I feel like we've really lost the transparency that should exist in a district hospital that's meant to serve the low-income community. We can only become stronger by helping the weakest members of our community. and Tri-City as a hospital has a duty to do that. So as a board member, I'd encourage our CEO to remember that that's what a district hospital does, to really reconnect with not only the community, but the employees as well. Get back to being on the floors and working with those frontline workers. See your strongest and your weakest employees and build on that, or fix where the problems are there. You know, they don't get to see him as often, and that's a failure on his part. So we need to keep people in there who are committed to making positive changes for the board. This is not a resume builder for me. This is personal. I live here and I will continue to live here. I have no intentions to move. So I feel it's my personal obligation as a community member to make it better. And being in healthcare, this is what we do. And this is the way I can help and use my experience, all my years working in the community and now as a nurse, to do something positive for all of us. Thank you. And thank you guys for hosting this meeting.
Thank you very much. Mr. Manzano, you're up. Closing statement, please.
How do I unmute here again?
No, you muted yourself, Mr. Manzano. We can't hear you.
Now can you hear me?
Now we're good.
Okay, thanks. Look, the hospitals are all in turmoil for the same situation. But the fact of the matter is, the way things are going, everybody's eating this hospital's lunch. It was the premium hospital in this area. For many years, it's had leadership, boards, different CEOs, and it is still in decline. And there's nothing that I'm hearing from people who are associated with the hospital now that's indicating any readiness to really take hold of the problem and address it and save this hospital, make it meaningful. Its ratings are poor. Patients don't want to go there, and it doesn't seem to be able to attract public support. You've got to win public support, and this board has failed and needs to have some new changes, positive changes. All these virtues you express are very good ones and valid ones. The people that I've heard here tonight, they're all admirable. But the fact of the matter is, you need to have something, a new force to drive this hospital forward. And I would hope to be able to help do that.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all of our candidates who spoke this evening. And now I would like to introduce Scott Ashton from the Oceanside Chamber. Thank you, Scott, for being an awesome timekeeper.
Thank you. Thanks, Rachel, and thank you, Bret. As you may know, the Oceanside, Carlsbad and Vista Chambers, the leaders of the chambers came together in the 1960s to form the hospital district. So Tri-City Medical Center has been an important partner in our community for many, many years, and a very important partner to all of our chambers. So we take these elections seriously, and we're grateful to each of you for taking time to be with us this afternoon. We're going to be putting the video on the Chamber's websites and YouTube channels. So hopefully we'll have them up there in a couple days. So feel free to visit the websites and share the video out with your networks. And that's the websites are oceansidechamber.com, vistachamber.com, and carlsbad.org. So again, I want to thank each of you for taking time to be with us this afternoon, and best wishes to you all. Thank you.